Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 228. Your weekly little get together. We talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Steven Brandon. Joining me today is
I'm David.
Tonight, David. We have the great Apple Epic Google slap fight that's going on that actually might have ramifications beyond the industry, but we'll get into that later. Baldur's Gate 3 will be entering early access very soon, and THQ's parent company grows even bigger because it wasn't bloated enough. But first, classic THQ, right? But first, I want everyone here to know that this is an audience interactive podcast. So if you're watching here live Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Twitch TV/GamePoints or later at YouTube.com/GamePointsPC, feel free to join in the conversation. Feel free to add any topics, conversations, concerns, questions you might have. Just try to keep it germane to the things that we have on hand at the moment. Go too far off topic, it's kind of hard to keep up. David.
Yes.
Before I want to get to any of this news this week, have you seen what Fall Guys has been doing for charity?
The submit things for costume designs.
Yes, it's what it is. It's the battle of the brands, because all these brands are trying to cash in on the Fall Guys success.
Yes, for sure. Everybody wants to have their own Fall Guy.
And it started off small, right? You'll have like, hey, $100, $1,000. This shit has quickly ramped up. You had like Ninja offering $200,000. The premise is if you donate enough for a charity whose name escapes me at the moment. I want to say it's called like special. I want to say it's special effects, but I'm not positive. They will create you a costume in Fall Guys.
Mm-hmm.
Very smart branding opportunity. This started off small potatoes, but then you had streamers coming in, and like Ninja offered $200,000 to have a ninja-looking Fall Guy in there.
Dude, I think my favorite one was somebody submitted one and it's literally just a T-shirt that says something inappropriate on it. It was doing really well for a little while.
The last I heard, it is now up to $325,000.
Cool.
So, those guys. What do you think with these this charity drive for getting your brand placed into the game? I hope it's something stupid person like Totino Pizza Rolls.
Hell yeah, dude.
Just jump around as like a giant pizza roll. I want something stupid like that as opposed to like a YouTube streamer.
I just want Wendy's to get in there.
Yeah, I don't know if Wendy's is in it, but
run around as a hamburger patty.
Once the YouTubers and streamers stepped in and realized they could like have themselves in there, some of the bigger ones make obscene amounts of money. So you had like Ninja, Mr. Beast. I'd be curious to see if Dr. Disrespect gets in there now that he's doing the YouTube thing again with all the allegations currently leveled at him.
I feel like he probably wouldn't.
Nah, probably not. I think I would hope that he's smart enough to kind of keep a low profile, but we are talking about a man whose character is called Dr. Disrespect.
So you never know.
But yeah, I like this. I like this quite a bit. Go Fall Guys. You guys have a pretty big hit in your hands. I still maintain that this is very much a flash in the pan, so get yours while you can. I don't expect this to be anywhere near as big even 2 months from now. But in the moment, they have definitely captured the zeitgeist.
I feel like you're still missing like the accessibility level of it. Like Fall Guys is such a simple game and is far more approachable than other traditional battle royales that I think it has slightly more staying power than you're giving it credit for.
It could.
That's just my 2 cents, though.
I'm not like taking a strong stance on this. This is just a personal. I look at this and go, 2 months it'll be forgotten. But by no means am I screaming from the Sermon on the Mount style down at the Unwashed Masses saying, listen to me, my child, this game will be dead in a week. I'm not saying that. Sure. It's just a gut feeling.
I got you.
It feels very lightning in a bottle-ish. It feels like it has a very short shelf life. I can't think of the metaphor that I'm trying to think of, and it's just not coming to me.
Well, I think we get it. But yeah, that's a pretty funny situation. I like that they're doing stuff for charity. I say power to them.
Yeah, no, go them. I'm very, very excited to see that game doing as well as it is. David?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and move into what is very clearly going to be the biggest news story of this week. Yeah. And honestly...
Might as well just get into it and see how long this takes us.
Honestly, the biggest one we've had in a while.
Yes.
So, up front, I'm going to be providing all the links down below in the notes if you're watching this on YouTube later. Most of the editorial stuff comes from The Verge, but you'll also be seeing direct links to people's Twitters and the lawsuits filed and all that, so you can peruse those at your own leisure. But we're going to go ahead and start off with the great Apple, Google, and Epic clusterfuck that is Fortnite being pulled. So, this whole thing starts. Bear with me. This is going to take a while.
It's a little detailed. We can hash it out. It'll be great.
This is made more complex by the fact that all of this has happened roughly within 36 hours. Like, a lot of shit happened very quickly.
Yes, definitely.
So, this starts off when Epic introduced direct payments on the iOS and Android Google Play stores.
Yep.
This move bypasses the Google Play Store and the Apple cut those two companies would normally get from these transactions. So essentially what happened was, if you want to buy V-Bucks for Fortnite, this is all part of Fortnite, by the way. I should have said that Fortnite got pulled. I realize I didn't say that yet. If you want to buy V-Bucks for Fortnite, you have to, normally on consoles and PC, it's like $7.99 for 1,000 V-Bucks. But if you're playing these games through the Google Play Store or the app on an Apple phone, essentially an iPhone, they cost $9.99. Because anything sold on those walled gardens, Apple and Google demand a cut, 30% of what you sell. So that cost gets passed on to consumers. They're so protective of that is actually written in their terms of service if you put something on there that you can't get around it.
Which, if we actually walk back a while, was part of the conversation when Fortnite originally came out on mobile devices, and part of the reason why that game didn't launch on the Play Store. It launched as a standalone download.
Yes, correct. Epic and Google have gotten into this before in the past, and eventually Google or Epic capitulated. They kind of said, okay, fine, whatever, and put it on the Google Play Store anyways.
Yes.
So this is the first time that Epic has tried this.
But what they did this time is actually kind of genius and a little hilarious.
In-game.
Is they basically just made it so that, yes, you can still pay $10 to get V-Bucks, right, on the App Store or on the Play Store, and that will still get the regular cut. But they also have an option to buy them directly from the Epic site, and it's $7.99. And you get the same amount, and it's just cheaper. And people will think, well, why would I do that, not the other thing? Well,
exactly.
when you do that, you're paying them directly, and Big Daddy Google and Apple don't actually get anything from it.
No. And in fact, Epic was already going on the offensive when they were announced this whole V-Buck discount. It's like a permanent discount. They said the following, quote, "Currently, when using Apple or Google payment options, Apple and Google collect a 30% fee, and the up to 20% price drop does not apply. If Apple or Google lower their fees on payments in the future, Epic will pass along the savings to you." A tactic we have seen from Epic, specifically when it comes to Steam.
Yes, this is the same thing they did against Steam. Is, hey, we're going to give people a better cut, and if Steam decides to match our cut, then maybe we'll stop getting exclusives, right?
Yes.
That was that whole argument.
Yes, Epic is known for being extremely aggressive in this regard. Well, as we said earlier, this violates Apple's TOS. So Apple kicked
that
Fortnite.
Big giant thing that nobody ever reads that you click on every single time your phone has an update.
Apple absolutely kicked Fortnite off the App Store. They said, fuck you, we don't care. Apple has removed Epic Games' Battle Royale game Fortnite from the App Store after a developer on Thursday implemented its own in-app payment system that bypassed Apple's standard 30% fee. So they openly saying, hey, we kicked it because of this. Optically, that doesn't look good. Optically, that's Apple telling the customers, it's like, yeah, we want you to pay more because we want money. So, from a propaganda standpoint, that's bad. But Apple is so fucking massive, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
The timing of all this on Epic's behalf, though, because remember, we talked about it, Epic did this with Google like 18 months ago.
Yes.
So, and they did it again, and we'll get into that later. The timing on this is deliberate. Because Apple is hitting the crescendo of multiple antitrust concerns, specifically over the App Store and the rules it imposes on certain developers. So Epic saw a moment like a potential weak point to attack Apple on, and Apple, I don't necessarily want to say took the bait. Apple just didn't care. And we know that this is deliberately because the second Fortnite was kicked off of the App Store, Apple released a statement saying it's anti-competitive. They published a 1984 parody video with Fortnite characters watching there was, back in 1984, an IBM ad that had someone running down this corridor of gray-dressed people, essentially watching Big Brother on the TV. It was a very famous commercial for IBM. They recreated that in Fortnite, not something that is done over the course of a day or two.
Hell no. They had this shit ready
weeks.
to go.
They launched off the free Fortnite hashtag, and they were just ready for this. They clearly had this designed for weeks in advance because they knew Apple would respond this way.
Yep.
It is at this point, David, I want to pause on all this and say, how do you feel about weaponizing, and I use that phrase loosely, your audience to go after another business target in this case?
It is the natural progression of what we've seen from the last few years with the way people interact with companies. I don't think it's as surprising as it was inevitable.
Right.
I'm not saying it's a good thing, because at the end of the day, this isn't the like David versus Goliath situation that old IBM had, like that vibe that commercial went for originally, right? It's like the little guy taking on the big guy, big established guy. Neither of these guys are little guys. They're both giant corporations.
Yeah. Although, admittedly, Apple is magnitudes larger than Epic.
True.
Like, Apple could probably buy and sell Epic multiple times over and not even blink.
Yeah, I mean, Apple's worth $1 trillion.
Yeah. So, comparatively speaking, you could make the argument that it is kind of a David versus Goliath. It's just, in this case, David is still like a battalion of tanks, but Goliath is like a tactical nuke.
Yeah.
Either way, us peasants can't take either one of them on. They're both going to murder us equally as well.
Yeah, but it is a $4.5 billion company versus a $1 trillion company.
Yeah. So,
like the stakes are so outrageous that it doesn't matter at all to regular people, because here's the big thing to remember. No matter who wins this fight, we all lose.
I don't necessarily think so, because if prices come down overall across the board, and if you chip away at the
if that
walled
happens,
garden,
it is a unintended side effect. But that is not.
I
the
agree
goal
with that.
Of any of these companies.
I absolutely agree with that.
That's more what I'm leaning on. Not necessarily that we won't reap any benefit at all from it, but if we do get anything good from the result of this situation, it wasn't on their part. It wasn't on purpose.
Absolutely take the stance of the enemy is my friend kind of stance on here. But I am under no illusion that Epic is doing this for you and I or anyone else watching at home. They are doing this because they want more money. And I am fine with that. This is how this shit's supposed to work.
Yeah, I'm also far less scared of Epic than I am of Apple, so I'm kind of backing that horse.
When shit gets fucked up for us is when all these companies start colluding with each other to fuck us.
It's true.
I want them fighting. I want them being aggressively targeting each other.
Yeah, burn each other down. It'll be great.
It is weird though to see this, because the past few years it feels like for example, we all grew up with like the console wars. Sega does when Nintendo don't and everything like that. This harkens back to that shit.
Yeah.
This is
actually kind of funny though, because it makes me think of, there was that whole big, Epic Steam thing, which still kind of goes on, but it's mostly just there's people that hate Epic, and then there's people that don't give a shit. And there's not really the other side, like
there's
Steam,
not like a pro Steam rah kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and Steam never really like weaponized, to use your previous term, its fan base against Epic in any way. Like they just kind of kept doing their thing, because to them, Epic is who the hell are you guys? We don't care what you're doing.
Right. I know. I totally get that. Your phone going off reminded me to turn my phone off too, by the way. So I was like, I should totally turn that off.
What are you talking about? I'm on a sneaking mission. It's fine.
So we've said that that's a natural progression of things, and I get it, because what they're doing is they're weaponizing fanboyism, essentially. Do you think it is so there are two questions. One, and these are not necessarily mutually exclusive. It can be both, but not always. One, do you think it's smart?
I think it may be effective. Okay. I don't want to say it's smart, because it's going to set a precedent, and I don't think it's going to be favorable in the long run.
I think
If that makes
that
sense.
people going to war over brands is potentially dangerous. Not dangerous
Yeah,
as in like people murdering on the street, but it leads down a very dark path. This would be like if Burger
that's what
King
I'm saying.
said,
Like it's a. I don't want to call it smart because it makes sense and it will have an effect, and so I understand why they're doing it. But if companies continue to do this, there's no way it ends well.
yeah, this would be the equivalent of Burger King actively riling up the people who like Burger King to go after McDonald's. Not just, hey, come to us, but actively
Yeah,
attack McDonald's.
let's slam them online and take pictures of you burning McDonald's bags.
Console flame wars on a massively larger scale than before is what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that means we answered the second question that I have. Is it right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no.
Okay. Okay. I think that there is a lot of... I could see where this can ramp out of control, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to say it's right, but I'm also not going to say it's evil as well. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is morally reprehensible. I'm like, it's a company, dude.
Yeah, see, the problem is it's not even really the fault of the company. I think if your identity is tied up in such a way that corporation A that you like for arbitrary reason tells you to do a thing and you say, yes, corporation, I am your bitch.
Yeah, that's on your goddamn shoulders.
That's a whole other thing. But I don't know if that's necessarily an individual failing or just like an entire systemic American problem. I'm not touching that fucking conversation. Like,
I just personally feel there's a lot of hysteria from the journalist side of things, of people like freaking out over this, and I'm like, I think a lot of your anti-Epic bias is coming out on, not you personally, David, but just I read some of these people.
Dude, I fucking love it.
Yeah, I got no beef against them, but I see a lot of this, and I'm like, I see your politics coming through here pretty loud and clear when you're saying that they're weaponizing it and everything like that. Because weaponizing is not my term. I have read the term weaponizing in no less than 5 different gaming articles from major sites, weaponizing their audience, weaponizing their audience, weaponizing their audience, and I'm like, there's something you guys are trying to push here, and you're trying to make this sound worse than it actually is. Now, I'm not saying it's good, but I'm also not saying that this is like kicking your dog level of morally bad either.
Yeah, but I mean, they also call them review bombs, right? It's just kind of the way we refer to things.
It's sensationalized for sure.
Yeah.
All of that said, I imagine that this is how we eventually get those dystopian societies that you see like in Shadowrun, where the corporations are actively fighting each other with militaries, or Syndicate. Yeah. This is the greatest stealth marketing tool for Syndicate ever.
Dude, that's how Tekken works.
Tekken.
If you're not deep on the Tekken lore,
yeah, that's kind of a deep cut.
is just a fucking corporation that rules the world at some point.
But yeah, I personally do kind of take the like I said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I have no illusions that Epic is doing this for the people. They're doing this because they want to make money. However, if in the process of making more money for themselves, they knock Apple down and Google down a couple pegs, I'm here for it, baby.
Yeah, I actually actively dislike Apple, so I'm totally fine with that.
While I mentioned Google real quick, Google quickly followed Apple's lead and kicked off Fortnite from the Google Play Store on Android. The game can still, however, be played on Android phones because Android's far more of an open marketplace.
Yep, you can download it directly from Epic.
Yeah, Epic has their own app. There's all kinds of stuff.
There's a way to bypass it.
I don't necessarily think that Google is also their main target either, because there was no pre-created video queued up to respond to Google. Their initial target was Apple. The video is directed at Apple.
Mm-hmm. I think they might have figured they were going to get away with it, or they just didn't care enough.
Yeah, I figured I think Epic's stance was, Apple's going to screw us. We have all this ready to go. But Google, we've tussled with them before. In fact, at this point, it's important to note that they did have a history of fighting with Google over this. Google pulled Fortnite from the Play Store, or rather, Epic pulled Fortnite from the Play Store because they did not agree with Google's 30% cut that they were implementing. Yep. Eventually, after a year and a half, Epic kind of caved, put the app back on there, and now we're back today with Google kicking it back off.
But the whole time it was available to download directly from their website and all that other fun stuff.
By the way, Fortnite's not the only other company that has issue with this. The upcoming Game Pass Ultimate, which is the streaming service, the streaming service from Xbox, Microsoft. If you play this on Samsung, like just through Samsung, like Samsung's App Store, for example, which is different than the Google Store,
Correct.
you'll be able to buy DLC through the app.
Because they get a better cut from the Samsung store.
Right. But if you buy it through the Google Store, you can't. You can buy the games, but not the DLC for those because of that 30% cut. And Apple just doesn't allow it on their App Store at all.
Yep.
And Microsoft's very pissed off about that.
Time to bring back the Windows Phone.
So, Epic counters by suing both Apple and Google now over alleged antitrust violations. All of this has happened within like hours.
Yeah.
This happened real fucking quick, meaning they had these briefs ready to go.
Yep. You ever see that movie?
Which one?
Antitrust?
No, I haven't. Doesn't it have like Tim Robbins or something in there?
Yeah. Tim Robbins and some other people.
Yeah, I know of it. Essentially, it was like a weird combination of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs that Tim Robbins was trying to play or something like that. I remember seeing the
who was also like a murderer or something. Like it's
laughably stupid.
Dude, it's so... the only reason I bring it up is because I want to quote one of the dumbest lines ever said in a movie, and it's from that movie.
Okay.
Because, like, towards the end, the big confrontation where, like, the hero character, like, the main character, who's just some young programmer, is, like, confronting Tim Robbins. And he just starts, like, yelling about all this stuff that he's done wrong, and he's like, out here, if you kill people, they die. And, like...
What? I was expecting more to that quote. What?
Well, no, it's out here, if you kill people, they die. And in the real world, you're fucked. Like, with that delivery. And that's the whole line. And I don't remember any of that movie except for that part. Because
that can't be right. That makes no goddamn sense.
So dumb. Like, in the context of the movie, I guess it vaguely makes... Anyway, that movie's hella dumb, and I just wanted to bring it up because that shit's funny.
Also starring Ryan Philippe. I was trying to remember who the young kid's name was. That's the guy whose career just disappeared.
Yeah, probably because he said that line.
So, Epic sues Google and Apple. Harder to make the case for antitrust stuff. Harder to make the case against Google because Android phones are very open. You can't really argue that Google Play Store is preventing you from playing on the phone when you can always just... I mean, the fact that you can just download it directly onto the phone kind of shoots their case in the foot a little bit. But Apple is clearly the target they're going for. This is the big part. This is where things get a little spicy. Apple then retaliates against Epic by removing Fortnite from the Apple Store and has informed Epic that on Friday, August 28th, Apple will terminate all developer accounts and cut Epic off from the iOS and Mac development tools.
Boom.
That's huge.
That's
fucking
not
big.
Just are we not going to work with you on this? If you don't concede, you will never release a product on our environment again.
Yes.
Because we will give you access to it.
That then caused Epic to file an injunction to stop this, to quote, stop this retaliation. They call it specifically retaliation. And that's kind of where we're at now, all within 48 hours. I will find out on Friday where this goes, because that's when Apple straight up says, hey, you're fucking done. What do you think, David? I know we kind of had our mid-story break here, but now hearing all of this, what do you think about the lawsuits? Do you think they have a chance? Do you think that Apple is right or wrong in going after Epic on the development tool side of things?
I think that while Epic is doing this for ultimately selfish reasons, if they somehow pulled it off and got a lower cut from Google and Apple, that would be a huge win for independent developers on those devices as well as Epic themselves. But
that's where the rubber meets the road, though, right? Because what if they choose just say, okay, we'll make a special agreement for Epic, but don't do it for anyone else, and Epic kind of stops the fight.
And then Epic would say, okay, cool, works for us, and that's the nothing really happened and everyone's still screwed and no one else actually has the power to do anything against the giant companies. But even with as like big as Epic is, you know, we talk about Epic like being this kind of huge company at this point. Like you mentioned, Apple could buy and sell them 100 times.
And that's not talking about Google either, which could buy and sell Apple probably multiple times.
And not even like budge their balance books.
Yeah.
So all that being said, Epic is doing what they can, but they don't really have a leg to stand on. And I don't mean legally, I mean in the way systems work, where the company that has more money usually wins because they have more money.
I'm trying to see. Okay, so how much did you say Apple has?
$1 trillion.
$1 trillion? Okay. Google's parent of Alphabet Inc. Not $1 trillion. They have a revenue of 161 billion in 2019. So not $1 trillion. They are actually not as big as Apple, oddly enough.
Yeah, Apple's actually over $1 trillion. It's like 1.2 or 1.3 trillion dollars.
I could have sworn that Alphabet as a whole would be just stupidly huge. But yeah, no, Apple is fucking
No, only 14 countries in the world have an annual GDP figure greater than Apple's market cap.
By the way, I could be totally wrong on that Google number. I'm using the highly suspect source of Wikipedia to look at it real quick.
I'm just letting you know that Apple is currently worth more than Mexico.
I'm pretty sure I'm worth more than Mexico. Let's be fair.
You're not, but that's fine.
No, yeah, 14 countries have only 14 countries have a greater GDP than Apple has.
Yeah.
Value. Fuck.
How about Apple is worth more than the Taiwan Stock Exchange? Does that do anything for you?
Yeah, that makes it a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Apple's worth a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I for some reason I just thought Google was worth more than Apple, and I don't think it is. After my 30-second look at things. Either way, The point is, both of these companies could not even blink at buying Epic.
Yep.
Where were we going with this?
We're just wondering who's going to win and if it's actually going to matter.
Oh,
really.
That's right. So do you think Epic actually has a case here?
I think they are making compelling arguments, and much like in their fight against Steam, it's going to go nowhere. People are still mad about Epic for getting exclusives, and you want to know why they're still getting exclusives? Because Epic hasn't changed anything about their cut strategy.
You mean Steam?
Steam, sorry, because they don't have to.
Steam has changed some things a little bit. Remember, we were hearing stories about how they're going to make things more profitable over like $1 million or something like that.
Like vaguely, but not in any actual.
No, they felt like token adjustments.
Yeah.
Do you think
at the very best, that's all Epic would get? But just on legal fees alone, Google and Apple could just sit in court for 100 million years.
Yeah, because
and they won't even notice.
There's no way that either one of those two stores, either one of those two entities, is going to, specifically Apple, is going to let any cracks in their little Garden of Eden. There's no way. They will fight, even if Epic wins the lawsuit, they will tie that shit up in so much red tape that no one will see any effects of it for 30 years.
Yeah, and now if this was Google versus Apple, that would be a more interesting argument.
I wish this was the argument that was actually happening right now. I wish Google
if Google Games, right? If Google had their own video games and they were releasing them on the App Store and they refused to allow Apple to take a 30% cut, and they said, "We'll give you 10, or we'll release it direct and send out rootkits to your customers or some shit." Like, that would be way more interesting.
Do you think that Apple is in the right for saying, no, if we make an exception for you, we won't make an exception for you regardless of how big you are?
I mean, they wrote it on their terms of service, so they're in the right in the sense that they have a document that says, here's how things work, and at some point Epic signed it.
Yeah, and Epic's fully admitting, yeah, we're breaking their TOS. You can tell how they're phrasing it. They're like, yeah, we're doing this because it's just anti-consumer. Fuck off. Do you think that Epic shares any negativity on that spec? I'm trying to think of a way to phrase that better. Any are they wrong? Are they wrong at all in what they're doing?
I mean, sort of, right? You signed a document.
I mean, yeah, they're breaking an agreement they had with Apple.
You get into weird legal shit to where I don't actually care about an Apple TOS. Me personally, I don't give a shit what Apple says. But I also don't use Apple products. So like,
I don't either.
I never would have signed such an agreement in the first place. Like, if I made a video game, I wouldn't release it on my OS.
All right.
But I'm not a multi-billion-dollar company.
This is one of those things that's happening that I think you kind of also said the same thing. I would love to see this go somewhere, a ruling one way or another. I just kind of want a ruling on it so we can have a clear idea of what's happening or what to expect in the future.
I mean, we'll find out at the end of the month. That's the only thing is like since Apple actually put this weird like ultimatum out.
What I personally think is going to happen is that this will go nowhere. It will never get adjudicated because Apple doesn't even want it to get that far down the road. They're just going to go, we will bury you in legal costs until you give this up.
Yep.
And I think that's what's going to happen.
And then in a month, you'll get some big heartfelt thing from Epic saying, we did what we could, but, ultimately we have to make sure that our stuff is available to our consumers and yada, yada.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't think Epic actually has a case here. The only way they have a case here is if the antitrust stuff goes through, which is what I think ultimately this is. Is this meant to put even more pressure on the other antitrust shit going down with Apple? I think this is designed to help that, and Epic's just taking a punch to the face on it.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Because if they can get the antitrust stuff through with other things, then they win. They can make the argument to it. But until that gets adjudicated,
they're not
this
trying to
goes
kill
nowhere.
They're just trying to make them bleed.
Yeah. But until that gets handled, this goes nowhere.
Yep.
This is just designed to support that. That's what I think. Anyways, let us know what you think about this whole thing down below. It is weird. It is a bunch of information is coming out very quickly. And as far as I know, we are at the hurry up and wait point of this massive story. But we'll see how it shakes out. Hopefully next week we'll find out about that whole deadline on Friday.
The deadline is
August 28th.
Friday, so it wouldn't be next show.
It would be the show after.
Just show after next, yeah.
Sounds good. David, let's go ahead and move on to the other topics here. Why don't you lead us off on this one?
More stuff, also from The Verge. This is annoying, in my opinion. You will need a Facebook account to use future Oculus headsets. From the article, Oculus will soon require all of its virtual reality headset users to sign up with a Facebook account. The Facebook-owned company, if you forgot, says it will start removing support for separate Oculus accounts in October, although users can maintain an existing account until January 1st, 2023. All users can maintain a distinct VR profile with a separate friends list. However, if you don't, you'll be able to use the headset until 2023, at which point official support will end. So basically, they're really tying Facebook into the Oculus platform, and you have to use both. There already is like a VR-style chat room system that you can use on Oculus, but only if you have a Facebook account. But this is going to be everything.
Yeah,
you won't be able to log into the Oculus store. You won't be able to download games. You won't be able to play games. You won't be able to do shit unless you have a Facebook account.
So I don't really see all that much of a problem here because from what I understand, I have not looked around on the Oculus other than a few demos at some conventions. You need an Oculus account to really do anything, to shop the store and all that good stuff. Meaning, since Facebook and Oculus are owned, Facebook owns Oculus. If you have an account with Oculus, you already have an account with Facebook. All this seems to be doing is replacing the name.
But I mean, this is like saying that you have to have a Gmail to have a YouTube account. I don't necessarily consider it just changing the name. Like, yes, Facebook owns Oculus, but you absolutely have to sign up for a huge social media-based data mining website in order to use your VR headset. Now,
but they're already data mining you.
Yes, Oculus. And this is the argument that we've had ever since Facebook bought Oculus in the first place, right? This is what everyone was worried about. Well, they're just going to take everything you do with the thing and they're going to sell it to the highest bidder. And most likely, yes, that's what's already been happening. They're just becoming more apparent.
So if that's what's happening here, they're just becoming more apparent on it. Fundamentally, what is the difference? And I'll fully admit, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I think this is a bullshit move too. But I'm trying to find out why people. Is it just the name Facebook that people are pissed off at?
Absolutely.
Because
I don't see people that are looking into VR, that are interested in VR, and will say, "Oh, this one makes me sign up for Facebook." And I know plenty of people that disowned Facebook years ago, and just the mention of it would make them walk away. Whereas the concept of an Oculus headset, which, yes, they were owned by Facebook, but it had its own account, its own website, its own thing, right? Made it feel like a separate ecosystem. Like people will go eat at Chipotle, even though it's owned by McDonald's, even if they don't eat at McDonald's. It's the same kind of, it's a different, they're a smaller company, and that's just their parent company, and the parent doesn't necessarily control what the smaller company
it's
blah, blah, blah.
This all just sounds like branding to me, and people are pissed off that the branding is changing, because I hear this and I cannot find any fundamental difference between signing up between an Oculus account and a Facebook account.
And see, to me, I stopped giving a shit about Oculus as soon as Facebook bought them in the first place because of all the concerns that people are bringing up now against this whole move is stuff that I assumed has been happening ever since Facebook bought them back in the day.
Yeah, same here. The second Facebook said they're buying Oculus, I immediately went, that means they're taking every single bit of information from Oculus and selling it somewhere else.
Yep, 100%. And that's just kind of a thing. And I guess if you don't give a shit, then have fun. I mean, I guess that does nothing really matters. All your information's everywhere anyway.
Yeah, it's a complete side tangent. What's terrifying is that even if you've never once logged onto Facebook, there's a good chance you have an account in your name. Because what they do is, let's say
they have a whole data profile on you.
What was that?
And they have a whole data profile.
Yeah, shadow profile is what they're called. So let's say you, David Smith, have never used Facebook, but you know 5 people who have.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of those 5 people go, hey, I'm going to go out to eat with Bob, Mary, and David. Well,
Yep.
Bob and Mary have Facebook pages. They show up when they do that. But David doesn't have one. So Facebook goes, okay, who's David? And they start fucking correlating your name between all the friends that are mutuals with them, trying to find out who David Smith is. And then they know David Smith goes to Chipotle every day at 1 with this group of people over and over again. And congratulations, you now have a Facebook account.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow.
That shit, I know that sounds conspiracy theory, but it's not.
It's actually, what's funny is that's the same argument I have where I know that you fear the big bag Tencent and like, oh, well, no, what's China going to do with my data? And I get that, right? It's spooky. But to me, I just laugh because I'm like, oh, no, China has my information, as opposed to the more patriotic thing where I give my information to an American company who then turns around and sells it to China.
At least that way.
Either way, at least an American company gets a profit, right?
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
It's just so stupid. Oh, man.
So, yeah, that's...
Anyway, it's also weird because it doesn't actually go into effect until 2023, so this does have a bit of a time.
It is a ways away.
But I guess if you're thinking about VR headsets and you really hate Facebook and somehow them owning this company wasn't enough for you, maybe this will drive you over the edge.
Important to note, by the way, it's not that it goes into effect in 2023. It's that you can only hold off on it until 2023.
Yes. Existing users can maintain your account until 2023. If you won't be able to buy a new one and use an Oculus account past October.
Right. David?
Yes.
You use some Divinity Original Sin, right?
I do. Quite much.
Larian Studios has another game coming out in that same vein. They're making a sequel to the venerated series of Baldur's Gate with Baldur's Gate 3. And they have been teasing this for a while. We've gotten a lot of information over it over the past few months. They had what they called the Panel from Hell today.
This is great.
It was roughly 90 minutes long. You had hosted by Jeff Keighley, who, once again, I think we both are pretty big fans of. You also had Chris Perkins, Adam Smith, and a terrifying-ass Sven Vinky, who is the head of Larian.
Sven is so fucking funny.
Wearing a full suit of armor in a table that looked like he was dining in hell itself. So it was a very clever thing. It's roughly 90 minutes long, and it's full of all kinds of information about the upcoming Baldur's Gate 3. We're not going to cover every bit of it. There's just 2 important pieces of information I want to bring up here. First, it is going in early access, which we knew. They were very open with saying we're going to early access, and this is normal for Larian.
Yes. All of their major releases since they started making the original Sin series, because they do have the older Divinity games, if you've never seen those, that were kind of more traditional releases. Since DOS 1, this has been their MO.
Early access September 13th. Or 30th. Sorry, 30th. Not 13th. 30th. Yep. Also, it's going to be 3 times longer than the Divinity Original Sin 2 first act.
Which is pretty substantial because that first act of DOS 2 was the early access for a very, very long time. And a lot of people haven't even beaten that. That's a pretty damn good chunk of video game.
With a level cap of 4 in early access. And why that's important to know is that it sounds like they're going hard following the rules of D&D, because D&D, it takes fucking forever to level up in.
Yep.
So if they're giving you content that's 3 times the size of the first act of Divinity Original Sin 2, which is a sizable chunk of game, you're only leveling up 3 times. You create your character at first level.
Yeah, you're right.
I find that interesting. That means if you're extrapolating to that, there's a good chance you might only be like level 12 by the time you finish the game.
Then your characters are literal gods at that point.
Well, I mean, D&D goes up to 20 before you start doing some weird shit with the rules.
That's fair.
But level 12 seems like a reasonable cap. I'm trying to remember what my character was at the end of Baldur's Gate 1, and I want to say he was like 8 or 9.
Gotcha.
I mean, by the time you finish Shadows of Alm and its expansion, you would hitting 20. But yeah, no, that is exciting. We'll be able to take a look at that September 30th. I'll take
also, it's worth clicking on the link just so you can see Sven in his sweet armor in front of his spooky table.
It is an interesting video. They did well with it.
Not the first time they released a video with him in armor, though.
No, he seems to really like that.
Yeah, if you recall the a video they released when they had cross saves added to the Switch version of DOS 2.
Yes.
They had a whole video of him in armor, like sneaking into the Nintendo headquarters so that they could get to a server and put cross saves on it. And it was just this really dumb, like 12-minute video that was just super
I like it. I like that there's a CEO out there that fiddles around with stuff. However, there is one CEO we don't talk about too often on here. He's the CEO of Rebellion, which is a British company. They made Aliens vs. Predator. I think one of the sniper games. I think Sniper Elite. I can't remember which. The CEO of that company legitimately lives like a medieval knight.
Yeah, why not?
Like, he's obsessed with medieval lore. So he actually has like multiple sets of armor. He has like multiple horses. He like blacksmiths. Like, that's his thing. He is like the ultimate embodiment of a Ren Fair guy.
I mean, if you got the means, go for it.
I just want to mention that. But I think his name's Jason Keeley, but I'm not positive on that. Look him up. Look him up. He is a card. Also today, or yesterday, I believe, we had the Nintendo Indie World. It was a mini direct. We're not going to go into every single thing that was shown. Couple of highlights. One, Untitled Goose Game is going to be getting a co-op mode on September 23rd.
That's pretty cool.
Torchlight 3, Hades, Subnautica, and Subnautica Below Zero are all coming to the Switch. Spiritfarer is out today. Spiritfarer is essentially you play a guide ferrying souls to the other side, and you're supposed to be managing time and building up your little ship that you walk through and maintaining their mental health. It's kind of like a very small-scale city builder where you're more I don't even want to call it city builder. I mean, like, you're building extra rooms on your boat where you're ferrying around. It has a lot of simulation elements to it. We'll just leave it at that. Right. And that is out today.
All that being said, I do want to mention, dude, how bad does Subnautica look on Switch?
Real bad.
Man, that is some atrocious ass looking gameplay. Like,
real bad.
Turok, like the remaster of the N64 Turok looked way better than that game does.
It's not good.
Which is a bummer because there's been some really impressive Switch ports.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe it plays amazing. Maybe it's 60 FPS the whole time, but I doubt it.
I'm shocked Doom runs on that thing as well as it does.
I don't know what happened with that, but
I think it's
videos if you're a huge Subnautica fan, and just make sure that that's not going to bother you if you were looking to play it on Switch.
Right. I was going to say something, but I don't have the details right, so I'm going to back off of that. What I was going to say.
Yep.
David, this is in your wheelhouse. So why don't you go ahead and lead off the next topic here?
And I guess this is a story. As much as it's not actually a story. Anyway, WB Games Montreal had another fucking teaser for Gotham Knights, like the Court of Owls, whatever video game. They're gonna make a Batman game.
I was expecting more.
Yeah, so was everybody. But that's all you get. There's gonna be a DC fandom event. You'll probably learn more about it there. But I mean, shit, we've known or heard rumblings about this Batman game since September of 2019. Like, I don't give a shit. Stop giving me screenshots. Stop giving me little things.
There we go.
Stop giving me the little piece of not even a name, just something vaguely Batman themed. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Hit me with it, David. Let that anger out.
Goddamn content, or shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's what I was like. That's why this is on here. Not because we got yet another fucking teaser for a game that they haven't even officially announced. They don't even give us a goddamn name or a theme.
It's a teaser for a teaser.
But it
It's
is
a
a teaser
for
for
a
a
reveal
teaser,
teaser.
which has been happening all the way back. I had to look through the goddamn Twitter account to find it out. All the way back to September 23rd, 2019.
Yeah, so I basically don't care what this video game is because even if it does come out, I'm not going to play it out of fucking spite.
Fair enough. We will probably be getting more information on it come the DC Fandom, which will be happening this weekend online. I think it's a 24-hour convention of all things DC related, so it's not just games,
Although
but comics, movies.
I do have, as a minor, if you're a DC like super fan, and I consider myself to be a DC whore, but if this made you excited, you are one of those people that companies are going to try and weaponize in the future. Just so you know.
We have a couple of small stories here coming up. One, Deathloop has been delayed, now second quarter of 2021. Deathloop is Arcane's weird time loopy shooter where you are hunting each other, it seems like that, in a PvP. It seems to be... I'm not really sure what this game is yet. I don't think it's multiplayer at all, but I think you can invade other people's games a la Dark Souls. But you're playing two people that seem to be caught in this eternal time loop on this island where everyone knows the time loop is happening. So they'll do all kinds of hedonistic shit knowing that they'll be fine tomorrow morning. And this poor son of a bitch is like stuck on this island trying to get off. That seems to be what the premise is. I love Arcane. These are the guys that did Prey and Dishonored. A lot of old Looking Glass studio people went to form Arcane, so it has a really good pedigree. The bigger concern, however, is that this is yet another game being delayed out of 2020. It is going to be a very barren fall and winter. Because I can't. The number of titles coming out this year is getting smaller and smaller. I'm not convinced that Cyberpunk is actually going to hit its November date. I think that's going to get delayed out of 2020 as well.
Yeah, we'll see.
And this, remember, we're supposed to be getting 2 new consoles this year.
Yeah, but no video games. Though, we cannot mention the Deathloop delay without me also mentioning the greatest video game delay that's ever happened. Have you been paying attention to Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe?
No.
Okay.
I know of it, but I don't know what this is.
You're aware of the fact that Stanley Parable is a video game, and it has a very particular humor to it. And it has also been delayed and pushed into 2021. Now, Ultra Deluxe came out like in 2018 on some other consoles, but it's supposed to come out in an expanded version again for like PC and I think newer systems or something later this year. And they announced their pushback, but they did it in the most amazing way. There's 3 different versions of the form that they sent out. Okay. One of them is an exact copy of the Halo Infinite delay, but with all instances of the word Halo replaced like white out with Stanley Parable, and like the headline changed to Stanley Parable, and all
I appreciate that.
The company logos changed to be Galactic Cafe and Crows, Crows, Crows. They also released another one using this exact same Deathloop form. And they don't change any of the words or verbs, just any mention of the game or studio is changed to their game and or studio. And finally they did another one using the delay for Miles Morales. And they actually just photoshopped the Stanley guy's face onto Miles Morales.
That's hilarious. Also, I didn't know Miles Morales was delayed.
I'm pretty sure it is. And I don't even know if it's delayed so much as I saw a Stanley Parable tweet that looked like it was from Miles Morales. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the Miles Morales thing delayed, but I don't think they actually had a date on it at all anyways. But oh no. That's something else. Anyways, I'll have to look that up to see if Miles Morales was actually delayed or not. But that is some Stanley Parable ass shit though. I love it. Absolutely love it. David, there's one more story I kind of want to talk into before we get into anything else, and that is the fact that THQ, you can arguably call it the German Tencent, or the European Tencent, I should say. I don't think THQ is actually German. THQ's parent company, a group known as Embracer Group, has continued to grow yet again. This is via Gamatsu. THQ Nordic parent Embracer Group has acquired 7 new studios. 4A Games, Deca Games, New World Interactive, Palindrome Interactive, Powwow Entertainment, Rare Earth, and Vermilia Studios. Now, you haven't heard of most of these people. The only one that you might have heard of is 4A Games because they
Or
developed
I know because of Metro.
Metro. They're also the studio that was, I believe, Ukrainian-based and then pieced the fuck out when Russia invaded.
Oh, okay.
And now they're set up, I think, in Spain. But yeah, 4A Games does Metro. Deca does some free-to-play games. New World Interactive does the Insurgency stuff. You might see Insurgency Sandstorm on Steam all the time. Palindrome Interactive is making a game called Immortal Realms Vampire Wars. Powwow's making a game called Misbits. Rare Earth Games is a bunch of highly experienced industry veterans, quote, quote, focused on an action-based multiplayer game. They don't think they've released anything yet. And then Vermilia is a developer behind the upcoming first-person horror adventure game Crystal Theater of Idols. You want to notice that most of these games no one's ever heard of, except, like I said, maybe Metro.
Yep.
That, I promise you, that is THQ/Embracer Group's MO. They buy shit for a song.
They buy anything that's cheap, and they'll get something out eventually.
I think they take advantage of like a lot of the tax breaks they get in Europe. But the important thing here isn't who they bought. Mm-hmm. It's that they bought studios to begin with. Because what's Embracer Group? Let's call it Embracer Group because it's not THQ that bought it's Embracer Group. What's Embracer Group have a shit ton of right now?
Disposable income?
Yes, but IP that they're not doing anything with.
Correct.
What do they need to do with that stuff with those IPs? They need studios to do something with those IPs.
Yep, they need people to actually start building video games with them.
They just bought 7 studios. These aren't IPs they bought from the studios. These are studios they bought.
Yeah. So, hey, when you guys are done with that, do you want to make another thing?
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Hey, guys that made Metro, do you want to make a Time Splitters?
I don't know if I want a Time Splitters Metro game. Or a 4A Time Splitters game, I should say.
I'm just saying, like, hey, XYZ studio, do you want to make a insert license we own video game?
Exactly. But what I would love to see 4A make, the guys that make Metro, you know what franchise I would love to see them get a hold of and try to bring back from the dead?
Huh.
Fear.
Oh, shit.
Do you remember Fear at all?
Yeah, everybody knows Fear. Come on.
Yeah, I would love to see a 4A developed Fear game. That sounds
is this
amazing.
Immortal Realms game look any good?
No.
No,
I looked it up. I haven't heard of it. I looked it up and kind of went, well, that looks like a real cheap Heroes of Might and Magic. Let's just go on.
You just said strategy game, and I got excited.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, hey, if I can get it for a song, I'd play it, but I'm not going to spend any real money on it.
HQ says. Classic.
David, you want to talk about this last story here that you got added in here?
Yeah, sure. So this is just a small little funny thing, but Minecraft is getting DLC.
Thought you were about to say something else for a second.
Yeah, Minecraft's getting DLC, and it's Jurassic Park based, and that's a little weird, but it turns the whole game into a Dino Park sim. So there's a story on IGN. There's a Jurassic World DLC coming out that's like $8 or whatever, but it lets players like craft and train dinosaurs and build exhibits, and you're managing a whole amusement park, and it's like a sim dinosaur game built into Minecraft. So it's not just here's a theme and some skins and like we're adding some dinosaurs. It sounds like they're building almost like a mini video game on the Minecraft show. It's weird. I don't know.
So I am very removed. I'm very removed from the Minecraft community. I know nothing about it.
I'm so far away from Minecraft at this point.
Okay, so if I were to ask you if they've done something like this before, you wouldn't necessarily have an answer for me.
And maybe they've been doing this for a while, and I'm just an idiot, and there's like a Heroes of Might and Magic expansion to Minecraft, and you can play that game. And like I know Minecraft Dungeons exists, but this isn't that. This is, as far as I know, just DLC for the base Minecraft game that adds a bunch of dinosaurs and locations from the films, and I don't know, man. I just thought it was hilarious, and it seemed weird. If you've heard of Minecraft adding other stuff like this, just let us know at some point so that we don't sound like assholes when I get interested in these weird little stories.
Yeah, we're both just not Minecraft people.
I played a lot of Minecraft back in the day, but it's been a while.
I believe that wraps up for news. There are 2 events to watch out for this weekend. First, the aforementioned DC Fandome coming August 22nd. Expected to be there as far as games go is the Gotham Knights thing that we were talking about earlier. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which I'm really excited to see the trailer for.
Or as your nose say, Sadisi Squad, which I think I'd rather play.
Hey. Hey.
Just saying.
And a rumored Injustice 3, or whatever the hell NetherRealm was working on. I hear that NetherRealm...
Injustice 3?
I
Give me another
hear
one
that
of
NetherRealm is going to be there in some way, shape, or form. If they're at the DC fandom, then clearly they're going to be doing an Injustice 3.
those. Mhm.
Unless they pull like a mindfuck and decide to do like a hard R-rated Injustice anime or Injustice TV show on HBO Now, wherever they're migrating to.
Who knows? Dude,
I
I
would
just
love
want
to see
more
that, by the way.
Injustice because that means I'll get more comic books.
Also, this weekend is the open Avengers beta on PC and Xbox. David, are you going to take a look at this at all?
I feel like I have to,
I
just
I,
so we can talk about it on Tuesday next week.
I
Like,
want to play this beta.
I don't actually want to. I think I'm gonna force myself to.
I need a game because I've actually gone through Diablo 3's new season and I'm done with that. Destiny 2's expansion has been delayed 2 months and it shows on their storyline progression because right now Destiny 2 has like just nothing going on. They have like this they have the solstice thing going on right now, but they're kind of essentially having to stretch out 3 months of content over 5 months now, and it's starting to really show. So I have an opening for a senseless grinding game,
Oh,
and I think Avengers might fill it for me, but I'm not I'm not convinced that this is the game for me because I look at the Marvel's Avengers and I've seen the gameplay over the past couple weeks, and a part of my lizard brain screams Anthem to me.
I was just gonna say, if you really want to try it and you just want to spend 3 hours on it, you could always install and complete Anthem.
Yeah. But I'm wanting to get into this beta because I want to play
You have to know
around
for
with it and
yourself,
see.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
But David, that beta's
Yeah.
not until this weekend. That's like 5 days from now. I can't fucking be
Forever.
expected to wait 5 days without being entertained.
That's insane. Who could do that?
What can I do to keep myself occupied over those agonizing 5 days?
All right, a couple things coming out this week. We got Rogue Legacy 2 hits PC.
I didn't even know this was coming out, by the way.
Right? I think the description that I read on this game is both hilarious and perfectly tells you what this is about. Imagine what you'd get if you mashed Rogue Legacy and a sequel together.
All right, that's good.
Right? If you know what Rogue Legacy is, you don't need any more than that. It's like, hey, it's that game I like, but more of it. It's a roguelike. You're playing as a character. Your character dies. You're playing as that character's kid. You're trying to get through the adventure. You know, it's like a platformer action game. Pathfinder Kingmaker comes out for PS4 and Xbox One. This is the game that's been out on Steam since 2018. It's an isometric party-based computer RPG set in the Pathfinder universe, so very much classic RPG, like Baldur's Gate or the original Fallouts or Divinity Original Sin. Explore and conquer the Stolen Lands. Make them your kingdom. If you're really into Pathfinder, this is probably cool. But if you're asking me, I would just play Divinity. Helheim Hassel comes out for Xbox One, PC, Switch, and Mac. This is a dark comedy puzzle game. It's a narrative adventure game with puzzle platforming elements. You're playing as a pacifist Viking that can detach and combine limbs at will to solve puzzles and getting out of weird, uncomfortable situations involving desperate Norse gods, goblins, dragons, and angry skeletons. Very much a funny, silly adventure game. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 comes out this week. It is on Game Pass, I believe, and you can also buy it on, I think it's on the Windows Store, which always makes me nervous. But it's the first new flight simulator since Flight Simulator 10 that came out in 2006 or 2008.
Apparently, this is really good too.
Yeah, I hear it's really good, and this game is flippin' gorgeous. Have you been watching videos of it?
Really want to buy this, and I don't even do games like this.
I don't think my computer could do it even any justice, which bums me out.
It is getting mixed reviews right now on Steam, and I think from my cursory look through the reviews, a lot of people are saying it's stuttering and this and that, and I'm going, I think it might be because your hardware isn't up to date.
Yeah, I honestly think that this is going to be like a systems check style video game.
Yeah,
you're probably going to need a beast of a computer. But the whole real world weather thing, you can fly to where your actual house is because it uses some weird combination of maps, but then it uses districts. So
if it's
your actual house, but if you live in the suburbs, it will populate the suburbs with suburban style buildings, and it'll populate cities with city style buildings.
Yeah.
So don't expect to see specific landmarks, but you can still find your neighborhood and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. That's for example, when it creates cities, you're not going to necessarily see a one-for-one recreation, but it is going to be here is city in this area. From what I understand,
And
though,
like the suburbs will be in the right place, and like downtown will be in the right place. Just don't expect like unique
right.
buildings.
From where I stand, though, the airports are specifically like very well recreated to that. There's I was reading IGN's review on this, and he was apparently a Air Force pilot at one time,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Holy shit, this looks exactly like the air base I was at in Afghanistan."
And there you go, crazy stuff.
So,
Mortal Shell finally comes out this week for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I don't even want to call it a Souls-like. I think I need to start coining something better because there's too many games that are Souls-likes at this point. And when it's so much of the formula that it's kind of like a clone, I'm just starting to call it Souls adjacent. Like, if you want to play a Souls game and you've already played all the regular Souls games, you could probably play Mortal Shell because it looks like to fill that exact void, right?
I don't know. I don't want to say burned on Hellpoint, but I no longer.
Hellpoint looked really bad.
I really wanted Hellpoint to be way better than it was.
Mortal Shell looked better, and I don't know if you played the like beta demo thing for it that came out a while ago. I think it plays better than what I've seen of Hellpoint.
Okay,
so
maybe I have to take a look at it.
I mean, I'm probably going to play it just because that's the kind of person I am. Even the Ocean comes out for Xbox One, PS4. This is a 2D adventure platformer. It's a narrative platformer about balancing light and dark energies that hold the world together, and it's, I don't know, it looks neat. Gleam Light comes out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is a 2D action adventure. You're in like a stained glass world, and the art, I don't know, this is another adventure platformer, but I think this one of the two looks cooler in my opinion because the art's very cartoony, but in a good, like, Hollow Knight-y sort of way.
Yeah, everything has like a stained glass look to it with that Hollow Knight filter slapped over it.
Yeah, I think this looks like perfect like Switch video game for me. Even the Ocean I would probably be interested in if it was out on Switch, but for me that's my go-to place for like 2D adventure platformers at this point. Battletoads comes out for Xbox One and PC. Do I really need to explain what Battletoads is?
No.
It's Battletoads. It's a new one. You can call and ask for Battletoads, and people might actually have it. Peaky Blinders comes out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Strategy puzzle game. Is a puzzle adventure based on the multi-award-winning TV show. Become the mastermind as you control key characters and pull off perfectly synchronized plans. It's got a kind of isometric style view as you're laying in plans and doing Peaky Blinders shit. That's a TV show that people like, right?
I guess. I didn't even know this was a TV show until I looked this game up earlier.
Oh yeah, I think it's on Amazon or something. Fuzzball comes out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch. This is a like mini party game. That helps, right? That should give you an idea.
All right.
A million other of these style games. Chaotic party game for 1 to 4 players. You're playing as little plush dolls come to life. You're rolling into each other. You're trying to knock each other off the field. Roll, jump, dash, bash, and ground slam your way to victory. There's a bunch of different game modes, and there you go.
Yeah. Like I said, I can always tell when you just do not fucking care.
Well, it's a local multiplayer party battle game.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say about it?
That description, if you're looking for another local multiplayer party battle game, this one's probably good because they're all at least a little good, right? Some of them are maybe better than others, but if you need a new one, here you go. Train Sim World 2, also out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This is the train simulation game. So much like Euro Truck Simulator and Farming Simulator and Bus Simulator and Grass Growing Simulator and any other thing you can think of, this is the sequel to the train simulation game that is reviewed just as well as all the rest of them are. And if you love trains, then here's your train game. Once upon a time, we only had flying simulators made by Microsoft. Now we've got a simulator for every damn thing that you can possibly think of.
And some of them do surprisingly well on Twitch too. It's weird.
Yeah. And I mean, you got high-speed trains, you got locomotives, you got long freight hauls, you got commuter traffic, all that other fun stuff. So whatever kind of trains you're into, I think they've got you covered. Harvest Moon Mad Dash comes out on Xbox One. This has been out for a while, I think, on PC. We talked about it on Switch, all this other stuff. This is the very casual Harvest Moon game that's not actually a Harvest Moon game, if you remember. So it's solo or multiplayer, but it is not the traditional gameplay loop of a Harvest Moon. This is like a Harvest Moon themed mobile game pretending to be worth $20. That's really harsh, but if you want my opinion of it, that's what it looks like to me.
All right.
It looks like a puzzle-based game that's just Harvest Moon themed. And, I'd rather just play Harvest Moon. New Super Lucky's Tale comes out on PS4 and Xbox One. This, I think, has been on Switch for a while, right? So, you remember Lucky?
Yes.
All right. Well, he's got a new video game, or a newer video game.
I remember Super Lucky's Tale.
Yeah, this is new Super Lucky's Tale, so it's newer. And you're playing as this little dude named Lucky, and you're trying to find a magical artifact, and you got new friends and exciting lands, and it's another little adventure platformer game. It's got mini games and puzzles and boss battles, and it's got 3D areas, and it's got 2D areas, and it's got story-based adventure levels, and a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
PGA Tour 2K21 comes out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is the newest version of the PGA Tour games, and I think PGA is the only golf game out now, right?
I believe so. I don't think there's any other official PGA game currently running.
Yeah, so play against the pros, play casual, however you want to do it. In PGA Tour and 2K21, you can play by the rules or create your own. All new career mode, real courses, top pros. Did you know that the PGA Tour is called the FedEx Cup? Because I didn't know that. I learned that from this video game's description.
Are you fucking kidding me? It's called the...
It says real courses and top pros to compete against in your road to win the FedEx Cup.
I hate that so much. Fucking FedEx Cup.
And last but not least, we have Samurai Jack Battle Through Time for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is, again, an action platformer. Become Samurai Jack. This game is coming out at a weird time. Greatest warrior of all time. Journey through time and finally stop Aku's evil reign in this new adventure told by the creators of Samurai Jack. This game actually does look pretty cool. And it kind of has, I don't know, like action-adventure game. Like they made like a Legend of Korra game a few years ago that wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad, and I kind of get the vibe there. Like It's done by some of the creators, and it looks like it has a cool story and has a pretty decent art style, and it's probably decently fun if you're really into Samurai Jack. But if you just like action-adventure video games, I don't know that it would do much for you.
The greatest compliment I can give it so far is that it actually looks like an episode of Samurai Jack.
Yeah, and no, it looks awesome, but I think if you don't know what Samurai Jack is or care about it, I don't know that it's going to grab you necessarily. But if you're a huge Samurai Jack fan, it might be flipping awesome.
Sounds good. David?
That's all I got.
That does it for new releases, which means that does it for the show as well. This has been GamePoints episode 228, and thank you all for showing up and enjoying it, hopefully. If you like what you see here, you know what streamers want. You want to support the show. Bits, subscribes, follows, notifications turned on, all that good stuff. There's a Discord server you can join down below. We will be back Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at twitch.tv/GamePoints. But if you can't join us live, you can always watch us over at youtube.com/GamePointsPC. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePointsPC. You can follow David there at palshif_Satori and myself at CapitalistPig21. We'll be back tomorrow with normal random game streaming at 1 p.m. and again at 9, and we'll do that on Thursday as well, and all the other fun times that we do on this channel here. So once again, thank you all for showing up. This has been GamePoints, and we're out of here.